Okay, let's talk about PLOUISE. Is it actually worth it? Is it worth your coin? Here's my 2p on the brand. So a lot of my OG YouTube followers will know that I've been using PLOUISE from the very beginning. I did a whole tutorial on here using her first ever palette. So I was there from the beginning. There is a lot of controversy around this brand. It is not always smooth sailing, and on TikTok, it is feral, and it's only been since TikTok has come out, and I feel like there's a few reasons for this. The majority of the comments that I've seen have joined and bought PLOUISE later on in the PLOUISE journey, whereas makeup artists root hard for PLOUISE because we genuinely know the quality is top tier. But does that mean that every single product is top tier? No. PLOUISE is now churning out so much makeup. Some people are calling it the fast fashion of makeup, as well as other brands. But specifically PLOUISE, there is now a lot of makeup coming out. It is just non-stop. But I think where PLOUISE gets so much backlash is because she speaks so openly to her customers, her followers. She's very involved with her brand and documents it all. Not a lot of brands do that, and that is one thing that makes this brand very different. But because of this, customers then think they can message her whenever, and if there's a complaint, which if you usually have a complaint for something, you would just write an email and say this is broken, or this has happened, or this hasn't arrived, etc. People are going online and talking about it, so it's everywhere online. Any other brand outside of PLOUISE, you usually would not do this. You would just send an email because you don't expect the owner to reply on TikTok. So I'm going to tell you exactly what is worth it from PLOUISE and what's not. Things that you can save your money on, but things that you also definitely need to buy. So we're going to start with palettes. Yes, I am going to be doing my makeup today. I'm going to show you all of the PLOUISE products that I am using so you can actually see what they're like. Do you need every single PLOUISE palette? No. Is every single PLOUISE palette good quality? Yes. The eyeshadows are all on point. They're all the same formula. So I would base buying eyeshadow palettes based off of what colours you like. The one that I'm going to be showing you that I'm wearing today is the Wedding Wish palette, which is the Love Tapes collection. Anything from the Love Tapes collection, I absolutely love. The pan sizes are big, but in general, I just love the combinations. I can't go on without telling you about the XL Bridal. If you follow me on other platforms, you'll know that I rave and rant on about this palette like crazy. It is my #1 palette in the world. Not just PLOUISE. Outside of PLOUISE, this is my #1 palette. It's what I use on all of my brides, or 98% of them. Majority of makeup artists own this palette, and there is a reason why. You're getting your neutral tones, your warm tones, and your cool tones. You've got black, white, you've got incredible shimmers in here. And I'm going to show you one more palette purely for convenience. If you're someone that doesn't want to have to keep buying lots of things, this palette has it all, basically. And this is the brand new Chapter palette. This one specifically I like, again, because of the tones that are inside, the shades. I do have the other ones. This one's obviously my favourite because it's wearable and I'm more into wearable shades. I'm not saying that the other eyeshadow palettes aren't good. They're just not as suited to me as the wearable shades because I wear wearable shades the most. But this palette has eyeshadows, blushes, bronzers and highlighters all in one palette, and it's very compact as well. Love those. So I'm just going to my shade Ring on it and applying it on the outer corner. I do want this to be quite a warm look, but I also want my eyes to stand out. And I'm going in with shade Proposal, which is slightly lighter and more of like a tan shade, to blend right out into my temple and use it a bit more as a transitional colour as well. So this is the next shade that I'm going in with, just to show you just how pigmented the PLOUISE eyeshadows are, the shimmery ones. I go in with shimmery eyeshadows more than I do actual loose pigment now, which if you've been doing makeup for a long time, loose pigment was the way to getting that really pop-in eyeshadow. But since PLOUISE upgraded their formulas, these are just as shimmery or even more. I find myself going in with eyeshadows more than loose eyeshadows now. Look how shimmery that is. That is just stunning. PLOUISE actually started her journey as a working makeup artist. Like, she was actually doing clients and models. She was the makeup artist. I don't feel like everyone who's just joined PLOUISE now actually knows this. And her #1 product that made her blow up was her base. So when I first started doing makeup years and years and years ago, there was a product called MAC Select Concealer. Was it Select? sure it's called Select, and it was the concealer base that you would use on your eyelids, and it was actually what P. Louise taught people to use as well on the eyelid as your concealer base. And you know what MAC's like? MAC decided to discontinue, like they discontinue literally everything that everyone loves, and that is when P. Louise launched the base, which was a thicker, more creamier version of MAC Select. They're very different, to be honest. Like, it's not like she brought out a dupe or something. It was a better product, and because of that, this is where P. Louise blew up. She was obviously big before this, but this was the one product that really did it. She then extended the range as well, so there was a concealer base for everyone. This shade, by the way, is called Wifey. I'm just using it to deepen this corner. It might look like I'm being a bit messy right now, but the aim is that I'm gonna clean up and sharpen, so it's gonna look more like a wing. I'm actually now going in with the XL Bridal palette, which was the one that I said is my absolute favourite, #1. Chef's Kiss. There is a shade in here called No Objections. This is the blackest black eyeshadow. It doesn't have that blue undertone. It doesn't blend out into a bluey shade. When I think about how much eyeshadows have elevated since I first started doing makeup, eyeshadows were like chalky and so much fallout. Have you noticed that no one talks about fallout anymore? It's not a thing anymore. And that's because brands have elevated so much now. See how I've got that wing? So on the topic of bases, I do recommend the original base and the bases that are all coloured that are in this packaging. You can also use this as blush. You can use this on your lips. I find you can do so much with these. If you get other shades, you can use it as contour. You can use it on your eyes as bases as well. These I love. However, when the paints came out, I could never get along with these as well as what I could the bases. These are a much thicker formula, and they're meant to be more of like a heavy duty base that dries down so that you don't need to put an eyeshadow on top. However, I never felt like this worked for me. Could have been using it wrong. Who knows, but I've used this a lot in the past, and I still do use them during Halloween. They don't go to waste. I do use them on my skin for Halloween looks, but for the purpose of it drying down so that you don't need to use an eyeshadow on top, I have always had to put an eyeshadow on top of this, or when you wait for it to dry, I find it still never fully dries. So although a lot of people will recommend this, I personally don't like this one. This next one is actually a newer launch, and it's one that I have rinsed the life out of. This is the Activated Liner Palette. There's a pastel one, there's a few others, but this one, again, as you can tell, is my favourite because it's got wearable shades inside. I use so many of these ones up here, and you can mix in the middle as well. It is water activated, so the only downside is that this isn't going to be waterproof because it's water activated. But what I love about it is that you can build up the creaminess and the consistency. You can have it more watery or more creamy, and it makes it easier for you to use. But what I really love is that it dries down completely matte. It makes doing winged liner so much easier. It just glides onto the skin. But again, my favourite thing about it is just how matte it dries down, because as you know, liquid liners usually always have that shine left over. This does not do that. I'm moving on to my face now. I'm actually going to do some underpainting. I'm using the P. Louise Spoilt for Choice cream bronzer in shade Toffee Toast. I highly recommend this product. It is a matte formula, so I find it's actually really blurring on the skin as well. I love all of the shades. The thing is with P. Louise, she brings out a whole range. You cannot fault her with the shades. She's never had to go back and do more shades. She always, first time round, brings out every single shade for everyone. And this next one that I'm not keen on, it's not really an I don't like, because I can definitely use this product. I can definitely make this product work for me, and I do like it. It's just I prefer this bronzer over that bronzer. And this is the cheek of it. Don't even ask. This is the cheek of it, liquid bronzer. Same shades, just different formula. So this is liquid, whereas the one that I'm using right now is cream. Again, you cannot fault the shades. She has absolutely smashed it out the park, and I love the cheek of it blushes. And I probably would still be using that bronzer now if this one hadn't come out. But this one's come out, and it's amazing. It's my go-to. You can see that I'm actually going to hit pan very soon on it. The thing with underpainting is that it does look intense at first. It's kind of the point, but once it's all blended with the foundation on top, it looks incredible. The PLOUISE brand has been criticised recently and saying that it's more of like a kids brand or Claire's makeup. I do not agree with that, by the way, the Claire's makeup one. Even though I don't see it as a kids brand, more kids are buying it, which is why it's considered a kids brand, even though it wasn't originally targeted as kids. There are kids now that are wanting the most expensive makeup, like Drunk Elephant skincare. Kids are suddenly buying PLOUISE makeup, and it's the thing. Then PLOUISE would be silly not to target some of her makeup at kids. It means she's getting the best of both worlds, because us makeup artists are still buying the really good products that we think are great for makeup artists, but then there's products that we probably wouldn't have in our kit but kids are absolutely loving. And the thing is as well, what kids are into at this age is not down to makeup brands. The kids market is absolutely huge, and what becomes popular in kids groups and in schools, for it to be PLOUISE makeup, that is huge for PLOUISE. But my personal opinion is that PLOUISE has not just completely forgotten about everyone and is now just focusing on kids. I think there is a whole range that works for both. For example, the PLOUISE XL bridal palette, I would not say is a kids palette. It is my bridal palette. It's what I use on my brides, as well as other makeup artists. And a lot of makeup artists know that PLOUISE does pro courses. She has a pro kit. She does a whole range that I don't feel like everyone actually sees. We are now on to blushes. I have just put on some of the liquid Cheek of It blushes from PLOUISE, obviously. This is in shade Lychee Lady, which is one of my favourite shades from PLOUISE. But there are so many shades, which is great because it means there's going to be a shade for everyone. They blend beautifully into the skin. I really like the formula of these. Again, converted recently to more like corals and orangey tones, and I feel like with this look in particular I'm going to want it a little bit more warmer. Okay, we are almost towards the end. I'm onto the lips now. I've actually just used a PLOUISE lip liner on my lips. I do recommend them, but I didn't think to talk about them today. But one product you definitely do need if you're new to the PLOUISE game and you want something that is at the top, my most rated. This is probably my third favourite product just off the top of my head. These are the lip bases. I have bought so many of these. I've gone through so many of these. They're in my kit. They're basically a melted down lipstick. It's the best way to describe it. They're super creamy. I'm going to put some on my lips. Super creamy, but they dry down to like a semi-matte finish, but like a wearable semi-matte finish. It's not like they're super drying or flaky. They don't peel off the lips. They don't need layering, and they literally last you all day. I can guarantee that. I've worn these so many times. This shade in particular is called Semi Nude, which is like a pinky. It's a nude with a touch of pink. How weightless they are on the lips. They just look very lightweight. It feels lightweight as well. Worn these so many times on nights out. Again, I have these in my kit. The next products that I really love from PLOUISE and recommend to you guys is the PLOUISE mascara. Now, I believe there's a few mascaras out now. This is the tear-proof mascara. That is the one that you're going to want. Again, I've got these in my kit. If you're wondering why, it is the most waterproof mascara that I own. The most. Out of all the mascaras. Out of all the brands. This one. And I'm going to be honest, if you don't want a mascara that you're going to struggle to take off, then it might not be for you. But in terms of like weddings and events, this is the top. Because if you cry, if water gets on it, if it's raining, it's sweat proof, you can wear it to the gym. Like you can literally do anything in it. It's not going to come off. It's not going to budge. It's not going to wear off and go underneath your eyes where it's rubbing. I promise you. This product, it's hard to get off. People are 50-50 with it. People either love it because of that reason or hate it because of that reason, because it is so strong. You will need an oil-based cleanser to get it off. The one I'm wearing today is a brown. She does have these in black, and then there's a brown and there's a dark brown as well. But this one, I think is like the lighter brown. I'm just going to put a really light amount on my bottom lashes because I don't want my bottom lashes to look crazy because I've done no eyeshadow on the bottom ones, but it is a really good mascara. Okay, there's one more lip product that I have to show you because it is so good. Do not get this one, okay? This is the Lip Drip, the original packaging, and the formula is great and it is good, but because of the packaging, it wasn't something that I picked up as much. This isn't actually the sparkly one that I thought I picked up. I thought it was. But you see how the wand's quite small? It doesn't really pick up much on it. but P. Louise came out with some new packaging, so forget about this. This is the new packaging, and yes, it does look like a cheaper packaging. It most probably is, but in terms of the way you use it, it's so much better for everyone. To put it on yourself, for clients, for makeup artists. You could also put it on as a key ring, and it looks like you get way more in it. So this is shade Witness the Wetness. Well, actually, is it called From the Top? It's one of those. I can never tell with the names, but it is a shimmery gloss, and see how you can just put on how much you want straight away. So yeah, if you're gonna get the lip drips, I don't even know if this packaging is even still available, get this one. There is so many setting sprays, so many primers from P. Louise, and I honestly could do a video even longer going on about more that I do and more that I don't like, and comparing them. For example, I don't like every single thing, obviously, but there is so much that I do love and do like, and P. Louise is one of my favourite brands ever. This setting spray here, I did not get along with. I don't think it is worth the purchase personally, but this setting spray, this is the Ready Set Sleigh. I highly recommend. You can see how much I've used. It is kept in my drawer next to me as a setting spray that I use all the time, and you can see how much is left and how disgusting this one looks. I've lost the lid and stuff now. Basically meshes all of your powders together, but also makes your makeup last all day. I don't know why my voice always changes when I spray my face. Why does it do that? Meshes all your powders together so that you don't look cakey, you don't look chalky, you don't look powdery. But I have tested this on eyeshadows on my arm, where I have used this on it and the eyeshadows haven't been able to move whatsoever. So I've tested the longevity of this. I've tested this on holidays, taken it on holidays. I really like this setting spray. She did so good with this one. Let me know what you guys think down below about the products, if you feel the same way. Are my favourite products your favourite products too? Overall, my thoughts on P. Louise, they are a brand that I will be continuously using. I have been using them throughout my entire makeup career and will continue to do so, because she always brings out amazing quality. Yes, some things aren't going to be great, just like every single makeup brand out there. You're not going to love every single product, but because she is so big now, she is at the front of everyone's minds, and unfortunately gets a lot of hate from it and a lot of trolls, which I don't think is acceptable. The hate that she gets compared to any other brand is atrocious. But what I can say is this is a woman to look up to business wise. She has created an absolute empire, and I cannot think of, maybe another makeup artist, but I cannot think of many makeup artists that have started from the bottom like P. Louise has and created literally a fantasy world. If I think back to when I first purchased P. Louise's palette, I do have a video on here if you do want to see it. It wasn't my favourite palette, and I do mention that in that video. And if I think about that first palette and how P. Louise as a brand has elevated from that point, it is incredible. Yes, there's highs and lows for every single brand, but overall I highly recommend P. Louise products. Because there's now so many products, obviously it can get confusing. It's about finding the products that work best for you, and I hope that today's video has helped in some way. If you want to see me do a breakdown and talk through another brand, let me know down below and I can do that for the next post.